Hello. So it's February, and I have got about 15 books that I have purchased this month. It's difficult to do 15 books in a video, it's going to be too long. So I'll do 5 books each in 3 videos. So let's get started with this one. The first book is Absurdistan by Gary Shteyngart. I've never read Gary Shteyngart, and this is going to be my first Gary Shteyngart novel. This is about what it says is a Russian in an American body, and he basically wants to come to America and basically wants to spend his life there, but then he gets stuck in Russia, and then his only hope is some of the neighboring oil-rich countries. Supposedly, one such country is Absurdistan. So, if I read the description at the back, it says, "Meet Misha Weinberg, aka Snack Daddy, son of the 1238th richest man in Russia and holder of a degree in multicultural studies from Accidental College, USA. Misha is an American trapped in a Russian body. Salvation lies in the tiny oil-rich nation of Absurdistan, where a crooked consular officer will sell Misha a Belgian passport. But when civil war breaks out and a warlord installs Misha as a minister of multicultural affairs, our hero finds himself fighting for survival, falling in love and wondering if a normal life is possible in the 21st century. There are a lot of praise about the books, as you can expect with any book. The Guardian says brilliant, scathing new novel, irrepressible, fiery, and hilarious. The Times says one of the funniest narrative voices of recent fiction. So my expectation from the novel is I really expect to have a grand time reading this, a very fun time. This is, after all, a satire, and one of my all-time favorite books is a satire. It's Catch 22 by Joseph Heller. So I expect a satire to give me some real good time. You shouldn't take the novel too seriously. You should just have fun with reading this. That's my expectation of this. The next novel is a very recent novel. I think it's probably 2019 release. It's The Eighth Life by Nino Haratischvili. Um, this is a Georgian novel, so this is about a family in Georgia. Nino Haratischvili writes also. She also writes in German. But this is a book I really wanted to get. This was released in January this year for India. It was released in USA and UK before that. And as soon as it released, I got myself a copy of it. This is quite a thick book, as you can see. The novel actually expands for, I think, maybe 930 odd pages, 933 pages. So this is quite a big book. It's about, I think, 4 generations of Georgian family. It says at the back cover, "At the start of the 20th century, on the edge of the Russian Empire, a family prospers thanks to a recipe for hot chocolate that bewitches its drinkers. But this chocolate carries a bitter, some say cursed, aftertaste. Tumbling through the years across vast expanses of longing and loss, witness generation after generation of this remarkable family as they struggle and thrive, divide and reunite, and live and die in the Red Century." The Guardian says that harrowing, heartening, and utterly engrossing. The New York Times Book Review says poignant, heart-stopping, sublime. Now, Nino Haratischvili again is a name that I very recently came across. while looking at some of the book review one video I believe is when I got acquainted with this. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I don't remember reading anything Georgian, any novel about Georgia or any novel set in Georgia. Um, so really looking forward to reading this. This will take some time to finish, I believe. It's quite a big chunky book. But the next one is The Dark Room by Rachel Seiffert. Again, Rachel Seiffert, this is again my first novel. In fact, most of the books that I bought this month are author first. I've never read those authors before, almost all of them, I believe. So, Rachel Seifert's The Dark Room, shortlisted for the Booker Prize of 2001. This is about three Germans in three different time frame. One in the 30s, another in the 45s, just during the Second World War, that sort of time, and then another one some 20-30 years later. So the back cover, it says, The Dark Room tells the stories of three ordinary Germans. Helmut, a young photographer in Berlin in 1930s, who uses his craft to express his patriotic fervor. Laura, a 12-year-old girl who in 1945 guides her young siblings across the devastated Germany after her Nazi parents are seized by the Allies. And 50 years later, it's 50, not 30 years later, 50 years later, Misha, a young teacher obsessed with what his loving grandfather did in the war, struggling to deal with the past of his family and his country. The Times says, guilt, shame, responsibility, new beginnings, the individual in history, these are Seifert's subjects, conveyed in a style of deceptive simplicity, provocative and accomplished. So this is a book I expect to sketch out three lives at three different points in history of Germany, and I expect those three to converge at some stage. Let's see if that's how the book works out. It kind of seemed a very interesting read to me, so got myself a copy of it. Rachel Seifert's The Dark Room. The next book is Jesmyn Ward's Sing, Unburied Sing. This is about racism in America. This is about a black mother and who has a white husband, and her struggle to raise her family, as well as her struggle with drug use as well. This is a book that is really praised a lot. If you look at the internet, you will see this book being mentioned very frequently. A lot of very high regards for this book. So I thought I had to get this to read and understand. Say that Jesmyn Ward's language is also lyrical. So at the back it says, actually Margaret Atwood comments saying that a must. Even at the back cover there's a comment by Margaret Atwood which she made through Twitter. It says, this wrenching new novel by Jesmyn Ward digs deep into the not buried heart of the American nightmare. Jojo is 13 and trying to understand what it means to be a man. His mother, Leonie, is in constant conflict with herself and those around her. She is black and her children's father is white. Embattled in ways that reflect the brutal reality of her circumstances, she wants to be a better mother, but can't put her children above her own needs, especially her drug use. When the children's father is released from prison, Leonie packs her kids and a friend into her car and drives north to the heart of Mississippi and Bartram Farm, the state penitentiary, on a journey rife with danger and promise. Rich with Watt's distinctive lyrical language, Unburied Sing is a majestic new work that brings the archetypal road novel into rural 21st century America. My expectation from this book is that it's a road novel. It will explore the theme of racism and the struggle that the black people are enduring at the moment in America and elsewhere. So this is going to be quite a poignant book to read, and I'm also looking forward to Jesmyn Ward's language, which it is often being said as being lyrical. And the last book of the first part of February Hall is Men in Space by Tom McCarthy. Um, quite frankly, I'm struggling to really have any expectation from this book, or what should I expect from this book. What I know is that this is set in Central Europe just after the fall of communism. It's about some people chasing a painting across different countries of Central Europe. The cover, it says, one of the fictional finds of the decade by Boyd Tonkin, The Independent. The back cover's description is set in a Central Europe rapidly fragmenting after the fall of communism. Men in Space follows a cast of dissolute bohemians, political refugees, a football referee, a disorientated police agent, and a stranded astronaut as they chase a stolen icon painting from Sofia to Prague and onwards. The icon's melancholy orbit is reflected in the various characters' ellipses and near misses as they career vertiginously through all kinds of space: physical, political, emotional, and metaphysical. What emerges is a vision of humanity adrift in history and a world in a state of disintegration. Following the huge critical success of Remainder, which was Tom McCarthy's earlier novel, McCarthy's best-selling first novel, in fact it was the first novel by McCarthy, Men in Space confirms him as one of the most original and promising voices in contemporary fiction. Now, I have not read Remainder, and I will read Men in Space first and then decide whether I want to read Remainder or not. The Observer says a master craftsman who is steering the contemporary novel towards exciting territories. The Guardian says McCarthy writes with devastating charm and lucidity. So I said I'm not sure what to expect from Men in Space. I expect tidbits of Central Europe post-communism, which is good enough for me to plunge into a book. That sort of setting is just perfect. So I'm really looking forward to reading this as well. So I'll do 5 more books in the second part of the February book haul. Till then, find something good to read and stay well. Bye.